This is Brighter Rays, and this week we're looking at Genesis 25, 1 through 11, which is the death of Abraham. So over the last couple of weeks, we studied Genesis chapter 24. We saw a clear display of the providence of God. We also witnessed the rock-solid faith of Abraham and his servant too. And they had a rock-solid faith in the providence and provision of God. They understood those things. God is sovereign and has a plan, so we should not be surprised when everything works out for Abraham and for the servant. You know, someone once told my wife that things have an uncanny way of working out for our family. And for us, it's really no surprise. You know, we used to be like, wow, how could this happen? But now we just stand amazed and really humbled by the blessings of God's providence. But, you know, I'm no longer surprised by things. God's plan will unfold according to His will, and nothing can thwart Him. We know that from Scripture, and we know that from life. You know, He has covenanted with His people, and it will come to pass. Case closed. No more discussion needed, right? In the text before us, we have the closing of Abraham's earthly life. And though it is the closing of this chapter, really the story continues on. The thread of redemption and salvation will continue to be woven throughout the fabric of history. Consider what we've seen already. We have seen the beauty of God's creation and His ultimate creation, humans. The humans rebelled against God, bringing corruption and death into creation. But God promised to send one that would destroy the works of evil. Then came Abel. Well, would he be the one to crush the serpent's head? We can see the answer very quickly as Cain kills Abel. Then another one is born, Seth, who worshiped the Lord, it says. Seth grew up and had children of his own. And then another generation came, and then another. Finally, sin had so fully corrupted the hearts of most of people on the earth that God had to send the flood. But God preserved Noah and his sons, and so the line of salvation was preserved. Yet, sin was still in the hearts of the people, and many gathered to defy God. And they did it once again, but God confused their languages. He confused the languages of all the people and began scattering them across the earth. Generations passed, and the line is preserved by God even through all that craziness. And it finally comes and passes on to the generation of Abraham. God shows to the world that the path of salvation remains as He chooses Abraham from all the others in his generation to be the family through whom that line would continue. Now, obviously, there are some missteps by Abraham, and some outside forces threaten the promise. But this is all in God's plan. As his life closes, the torch is passed on to Isaac, who will have the privilege to pass that on to the next generation, to Jacob. As we say goodbye to our father Abraham here, I want to point out three main things from our text. First, we're going to look at verses 1 through 4, and we're going to see that the promise gets closer. Remember, Abraham greets the promises from afar, but yet with each step, the promise gets closer and more clearly seen. Then we come to verses 5 through 6, which I think here we see, and we should meditate on for a little while, the free grace of God. And finally, we'll consider Abraham's race that was a well-run race, as Paul talks about. The race that is well-run. That's Abraham's example to us. So next time, we'll start off with verses 1 through 4 here.